So you guys wanna fire up?
Sure. Well, Dave's gonna be late, so.
Do you wanna do the minutes first and you see that kind of stuff all over?
Yeah, I read through them, I didn't see anything.
So unless somebody
I'll make a motion to
to
approve
accept
the
that,
minutes.
somebody second that?
I gotta
Take the time to
abstain.
read them.
Yeah, I gotta abstain from that vote. I wasn't here on the 28th. To wait for
Well, I'll second them, because I was here. All those in favor? Aye, so that's gone through. Might as well do the warrants, we've already signed them.
The warrants do have the Jeff Corey in them, and also the second payment for our insurance, our property and casualty insurance for the year. Those are the only highlights.
I make a motion to approve the warrants.
Yeah.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Yeah, there, that's done with. Couple things done. Chuck, you're just visiting? or-
Yes, just saying.
So we had expected a couple guests that said that they were coming to discuss 4x4s and four-wheelers, excuse me, and side-by-sides, and some of the issues that people have been talking about in town around that. I'm not sure if we want to discuss it without the guests here, or if we want to move
We
on.
table that for the next meeting, or if they show up, we can get them all right up here and get into bed.
Go away.
How's it going, Mo?
Going good. We started the paving today.
I see that, we were coming back from Sheldon, and they were just firing up down my paths.
Looks like you'll go back to Pat to the shed.
Well, that's a good one.
Probably a couple hundred feet left.
We're gonna buy new uniforms.
Can't. Where is that? Where, out there?
No, that's the golf tournament.
Yeah, I was gonna say, we'll take a
Baker's.
picture. Yeah, I didn't see you over there anyway.
Yeah.
Nothing bright. Better than these.
Yeah, you got three here.
We're on the first item on the agenda after public to be heard, but your comments can be received
Well, let's
afterwards.
get them all done and we'll get on to these folks then.
So, thank you.
Just got a, you call it informal quote for salt. $91, yeah, $91 a ton.
What was that last year, Mo, do you recall?
I can't, I'm trying to today,
It's around the same time of year.
Yeah. I'm sure it's not cheaper.
no,
That's for salt, right? If you've got-
the estimate times is 625. That's what they come, set up, you know.
Is that the Gorman Group?
No, Cargill.
That's what we got from last year, right?
Yes.
Brings that in there, right?
1024 probably.
They got the best price anyway, right?
Yeah.
So they need a commitment?
91 a ton.
Yeah, I thought it was pretty much the same. as last year.
1021.
Excuse me.
Don't get that excited about it, Brian.
Estimate of 625 tons last year.
And how many were they telling you this year?
625.
Same. Yeah.
That's pretty unusual
Yeah.
Yeah, I
for
figured
it not
it'd
to
be
change.
$4 or $5 more, like everything else, and more.
So do we need to make a commitment to that or just?
That's it, this was a quick informal cold letter, I know she could check with Cargill and see.
Last year, they were projecting a supply issue if the railroads were affected by a labor strike.
Yeah, they were really worried about that one. Yeah, as I talked to Tim, and he said their sheds were full, so they weren't So we're worried more about Fairfield this year.
Yeah.
So, do one of you gentlemen, you wanna take a look at this, just so we can? Well, got any more good news like that? If things stayed stable?
Pretty straightforward.
North come today on a grader.
I see the door open when I went by on the back, I said, oh shoot, must be something
Yeah,
wrong.
it's a hydraulic pump that runs that fan. And it goes one way, and then it goes that way for what reason, I don't know. Anyways, the sensor is supposed to slow down like anything, but it hasn't, it started not, whatever with them. And air conditioner. We knew we had a pipe with a rubber hole, and it
Yeah,
was rough shape, and it's
you went?
a little wet, so we're gonna have to replace that too.
Yeah, it'd be kinda hot in there even on a cool day with that heat coming off all the hydraulic.
Yeah.
So they're ordering the parts?
Yeah.
Can you still use the grade?
Yeah. As far as I know, we can. I left before he got done in the
Yeah.
day. I don't know if you guys did any further about that truck or not on
The damn thing.
the, I don't know.
Which truck, Sandy Lab?
Yes.
I have an update from him. He said, there was a question that you had posed about if we could modify their failed budget letter so that the town receives no liability for any reason. And he said that the answer is no, that they couldn't provide that commitment, but they would be able to do the failed budget letter.
Yeah.
And that's the only news I have from him.
This is one of the things that you heard him.
Yeah.
If we're going to and push off 2-3 months, it brings that.
Right.
If we, so.
I think pretty much everyone was in agreement of it, it was just,
Yeah.
I just maybe get that put into that letter.
Yeah.
So how do you wanna proceed with that?
Do we need to get another bid for that?
For the truck?
Yeah. Last year we did.
We did, but it was, last one we bought, the only reason we bought it is because it was ready to go.
It was on
On
south.
site. On site.
I say you get it on the docket, get it on the list
I would suggest,
with that letter.
They're
with the letter.
I kind of talked to,
yeah,
he was kind of,
Yeah.
the warranty's off on this one, and we did
Yeah.
the cycle. If, that's it.
so do you wanna make a motion that we go on their list and keep the letter up from the, that
Yeah. Make
budget fill at the town
Put that
meeting?
on the list and with that letter being signed.
So I'll request that he send that letter over to us.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing that we're not gonna do another bid.
Nope.
No.
We got too good a look with those trucks and the prices of them are all almost like identical.
I think when this discussion started, we had another bid.
We had other bids at
Yeah,
that
we
time.
had other bids at the beginning of this process.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's good.
yep. So you made the motion that we do this, you
Yeah.
second it?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
So now the thing is on, we'll get the letter back from him so it can be signed in case of town meeting. Okay.
And if you can get it.
Get why,
Order to
because
list.
you're looking at least a year out there.
Yeah, soon we get an order,
Yeah.
the truck will get here in July, and then
We do have bids, though, other bids.
We had another bid before this one, didn't we? I'm pretty sure.
No, we did a last truck, I don't know about this.
I don't
Just-
have it
just
on
to
file, but
meet
I might need
protocol.
that
Yeah.
Mo has it and I didn't see it.
Because policy, don't we need at least a couple, 3 quotes?
Unless there's a sole provider or we have,
Here, I got an idea. Let's go with the motion as
Yeah.
passed, and let's also get another quote, make sure that we got,
give, White's a call
Yeah.
tomorrow, I'll do a quote on.
because this is months, right? I mean,
Well, it's months, but you want to remember too, the last time you had the other brands, you don't get the training for them you get for these freight liners. That's the reason we kind of stuck, plus the service we get out of them. If you were, we've had problems with service on this one, haven't we? On that
Yeah,
international?
yeah,
That's why we got away from those things, because,
they had to delete the DEF on it.
yeah.
Got 8 of them, at least 9 months was.
It's up to you guys. I mean,
Yeah, no, I'm comfortable with where we're going. I think it just would make sense to get another quote.
Yeah.
Just to cross-check before we, just stick with our policy.
I'll ask them about, I know, they said they were out 3 years. If you order one,
Right.
and Kenmore about 2 years, and so, yeah, I'll get them.
I know the Peterbilt's are 2 years.
2 years for Peterbilt.
Okay, so we're going for that one. What else you got, Mo?
That's it.
Keeping you busy. So you got that all scraped off, what you were doing on the
Yeah.
tops before you
Yeah.
got here to shim it and such.
Yeah.
Oh, good. Okay.
Thank you, Mo.
Yeah, thank you guys.
Yeah. Go home.
Not yet.
Enjoy the rest of the evening. Or welcome to stay the whole meeting yet.
No, that can be.
You wanna leave out a copy?
Yeah.
I just wanted to mention that the Policy, Planning, and Research Bureau sent me an email, and I forwarded it to Mo about some improvements that need to be made to a couple segments of roads, so.
Who is this from?
Pamela DeAndrea, it's the Policy, Planning, and Research Bureau mapping section of the V-Trans, and they just have done an inventory of some roads and have some suggestions for how we can improve a couple segments of roads.
They got money with them too?
You know, it's required in order for us to maintain the money that we receive for Class 3 roads.
It's class 3, it's end of Menards and Lapland Extension.
Sold up for the turnaround or something? Or what?
They were, like, Menards is, once you get up to Menards, where you got Menards House,
Yeah.
go straight,
Yeah.
it's a class 3, it ain't up to standards, I mean, it's trees and stones,
I thought that was class 4.
it's down there in Ladies.
A little further down the line.
Mhm.
Uh-huh. Can we make it a class 4 from that corner?
So the suggestion was we either go through the process of making it a Class 4 or improve the segments.
Make it approve it to a class 3 road, or
Or,
Make it a plus.
Designated a trailer.
mhm.
a class, yeah, true.
I would think the second one the latter makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
So do we have to start a process to do that?
We need to put together a process. There's a series of hearings that need to take place. Yeah, I can work on that.
So how, just roughly, how far down past that driveway?
I have a,
1/10 of a mile, 2/10?
More than that, because it says at one point, 1 mile, 8.86 or 8.10. I went up there in my car today and pushed it, and you were down there and you got the sack tanks there, and I was up there on 4/10. I didn't do, I think the way they got it is way up to where the gate is, where you used to go to Joe's Camp.
Oh, yeah? I didn't realize it went that far.
Yeah, if,
No, you definitely wanna make that a plus 4.
Well, let's start the process then. 'Cause we'll do the
I'll bring
hearings
a
and all that stuff.
timeline.
And the one up to Romar, what was the deal?
No,
Oh, not Romar, but,
that extension,
yeah,
you know what the stone house there
Yeah.
is? That's where we always turned around.
yeah.
It's up where the
Where
house,
Harry,
yeah, the
where
house.
Harry is?
That's where it is up there.
Yeah, Harry Dewey.
Yeah, that's where it is there.
That's the actual end of the road.
End of the,
And what's that? 1/10 of a mile?
geez, 310,
3/10?
something like that.
Yeah.
But that one's in a lot better shape than,
Oh, yeah, I mean, actually, the boys used to go up there and turn around.
yeah,
It was just a good place to go up, 'cause you got this kind of driveway up there.
yeah, it's got a circle
Drive
driveway.
right
doesn't it?
around, come right back out.
Yeah,
Where we do it now, you know.
yeah, so better off, you keep going up.
Mm-hmm.
And that's in fair shape up through there, isn't it?
Yeah,
You might have to bring some gravel or
I said,
something.
yeah, 2 loads.
Yeah.
You got white stone on there, I mean, would be a wrong thing, go strip that, you know, like you said, 2 loads up in there, because where the wheel tracks is,
Yeah,
your plow would.
And in that case, if you decided to do the Class 3 upgrade, then we have a loose timeline. It says, the state statute says that reclassifying a road or making the improvements requires within 5 years. Once they found it, you have 5 years.
They've
So
identified it.
I just emailed her to make sure that
Yeah.
was clear for me. So,
Like out in the wintertime, you
Right, that
see
one,
loads of stones and,
yeah, that one makes sense, that other one doesn't.
yeah, that's some major, I mean,
Yeah.
you gotta get out there and clean trees out.
Yeah, bring in
and-
hundreds of
Yeah,
yards.
and that stone walls that are.
Yeah,
That's that road that
Some
Bill
box.
improved, and then we made him take the improvements out of it.
He didn't improve it too much, only for his fire bills. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
We'll get it turned into a trail, save ourselves some grief.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Mo.
Yeah.
Thanks, Will.
Okay. Oh, come on up, folks. Let's,
Check with them, but.
are you here about the
Okay,
ATVs?
thank you.
Come on up. We were -2 members, so there won't be any action, man, but we can listen for a while.
We tried to get some a posse with us, but they didn't show up.
Yeah, that's what usually happens.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we'll start out on Charlie Fechtelis, my wife Charlene,
Yeah.
and we'd like to thank you for Chester Earth Road at the present rate.
Yes, paid, part of it.
Different.
Yeah. Well, thank the state government, because we got a couple $100,000 grant money to help with the money we had.
Yeah, from, my wife told them to,
Well, I don't have anything to do with it, but,
yeah.
yeah, I mentioned, why don't you guys just apply for a grant? I don't think, it was probably already in the process. Who knows?
They're,
About a year and a half ago.
Well, we
Yeah,
have been
years.
informed from the friendliest game warden, you can't ride side-by-sides on these dirt roads. We're fully insured, registered, member of club, how come we cannot?
because the roads in Fairfield aren't.
Kathy's got some information.
Right.
yeah, I have, I brought the statutes that the Vermont state statutes with me, so you can take a copy with you. It's a lot of legalese, but the chapter that we're looking at is 3506 under operations, so maybe it's the third page, maybe the second page. Nope, it's on the fourth page. Anyway, it's basically in the state of Vermont, it says that unless the town has an ordinance suggesting, that says otherwise, the state of Vermont does not allow 4x4, any kind of ATV on the roads.
On dirt road.
Yeah, class 3
On
roads,
any, like,
class 3 and class 4.
like all counties?
No, so in every jurisdiction, any municipality, unless you have an ordinance stating otherwise, the enforcement is that you basically can't ride on the road, on class 3 or class 4 roads.
So how do we change it?
I'm sorry, class 2 or class 3, class 2 or class 3
Probably
roads,
4
excuse me.
or 5 years ago, there was a club that came in that wanted to get these changed. I think like Bakersfield, they can ride on the roads.
About every town you can
I
consider
think,
here.
I'm not sure if Sheldon can now. But anyway, so we had public meetings on it, and some of those club members showed up. There was more locals that showed up that didn't want us to.
They didn't walk.
They didn't want the town to open these roads up for four-wheelers and ATVs.
Really?
Yeah, there was quite a fair group of them. And you know how the rest of that goes, squeaky
Yeah.
wheel.
Well, I can understand, you always got one guy
Oh, there's always
running
one
100
club.
miles an hour, I understand that.
I mentioned that to one of the ones abroad. I said, there's some locals that go by your house you were complaining about on two wheels, doing about 50.
Yeah.
These clubs I see go by, I'm not opposed to it, being open, because most of the people I see going by on them are probably doing 25 miles an hour.
Yeah.
They do in groups, there's 4 or 5, maybe 10 at the most, but they're just kind of moving along to the point where they want to go.
That's right.
But some of the local clowns are the worst offenders on the whole thing, in my mind. So, I guess we did this one, if I remember right, we had a meeting here, Jim brought it up at town meeting, the board did, brought it up at town meeting, to see if there was enough support to justify doing this ordinance.
Because like I say, I know a lot of farmers
Yeah.
running them up down the road.
Yeah.
you know, they're going field to field.
So there is,
There's a
under
division.
3506,
There's a vision.
it says an
Yeah,
ATV
you
shall not be operated, an ATV shall not be operated along a public highway except for one or more of the following. One, the highway has been opened to ATV travel by the legislative body of the municipality. And then the second one is to be used for agricultural purposes. And then there's a few other things, forestry,
Electric transmission lines.
yeah.
So basically, people can keep doing it unless they get caught by the game warden, because there's no law enforcement up here.
Right. Pretty much.
And it sounds to me like everybody we spoke to, nobody knows,
No, they don't even know.
nobody knows that we can't. So, if we get like participants.
Yeah, I was gonna say, get organized. I mean, I'm not opposed to it, so
Yeah.
that's just my opinion.
Yeah, exactly.
Will a petition work, be a
We
start? or-
can start a petition, we can try to get it like on town meeting ballot.
Well, like starting a club, which is probably more trouble than it's worth. The town would get the money. And we pay $75 a year just
Right, state of Vermont gets that money.
All the towns get anything, what about the club?
I don't believe so. I'm not gonna say that 100%, but I don't believe
so
so.
we send ours to the club.
I think the club gets like $10,
What is it?
yeah.
Bakersfield, if I understood, to ride their roads, and maybe I'm mistaken on this, but I thought you had to pay like $10 or
Yeah.
$15
It's
to
$10.
get like a town permit
Yeah.
to have on your machine to ride the roads, I think. And then they were monitoring it now and then, you know, whether they got sheriff's department or somebody
Right.
to check on people that were doing it, that they were getting fines if you didn't have your permit through the town.
Right.
And I don't know how they work it through. Is there a VASA like for four-wheelers and such?
Vasa,
VASA, that's what I'm
and
saying.
Vasta Snowmobile.
Yeah,
That's what we got one through, we joined the Richford
Right.
Club, but VASA is the $75 that we pay
that's the kind of state organization
Yeah.
and
Right.
such.
to register and get the VASA.
I mean, like I say, we got everything is 100% legal,
Yeah,
so
I mean, we live in Dod Road.
we don't want to cause
Yeah, I know you
problems.
guys.
And it's
Yeah.
like, there's a lot of them, and a lot of them are going slow, and there's a few
there's always a
rambunctious
few
kids.
clowns, yeah. Pull them up, pull the guts out of the
But
exhaust.
pickups go by pretty quick too,
Oh, yeah.
you know?
Yeah, they're pretty, yeah.
It is what it is.
But, yeah, we just wanted to know how to get it started, try to get it passed somehow.
Well, maybe you can give a little insight on to how to get a petition so it can be on the morning for town meeting. Because I remember we had two meetings here, and it was basically one group, probably 15 to 25, that showed up totally opposed to it. And they just kept harping on it. But again, if you got more people, there's more people in town that got ATVs and things that don't. So,
I mean, they're opposed to it, but they're still riding. People are
Yeah.
still riding,
Right.
so,
yeah.
so how?
Oh, yeah, that's why they were opposed to this club, and I'm thinking, well, you got these other clowns just buzzing around. These guys would probably patrol them more than,
Yeah.
you know, than just letting these clowns run down the road trying to pull wheelies and
Right.
all that crap.
Like I say, you're gonna get that anywhere.
Yeah.
On anything.
Yeah, but they were opposed to the club, not necessarily opposed to.
Right, I can't remember where that
Yeah.
club came out of.
So we don't care if it's a club.
Yeah, just that everybody could ride on them.
Right, there's a lot of discussion that goes with it. Once you open your roads up, you become a destination also. So it's not only the locals who are riding on your roads, but Chittenden County people who come up, make a weekend out of it, and instead of having, 30 local people on the roads, we now have 150 on a big weekend, So it's
I
a
would
discussion
say the
to
place to
have.
get some information is out of the town of Bakersfield. That's the closest to us, very similar in nature.
Yep.
Right.
And they had their roads open for, I'm gonna say 5 years. So they've had experience with it. And I guess that'd be a part, for discussion would be a good point to start
Yeah.
finding out towns that dealt with it, how they dealt with it. I almost think Highgate does it. I'm not 100% sure.
Like Swanton, you can drive right downtown, can't you?
I believe so.
Highgate has their own rules.
Richford. That's in Newport. I think
I
that
know
would be,
Newport they can.
I would think that'd be a bit wrong in my opinion, but
Yeah,
who am I to say?
yeah.
Well, that's if you're interested in the discussion, get some facts like that of what else is going on, who's handling.
Especially
it.
towns that are somewhat comparable to us. you know, like
I can
Bakersfield.
imagine, you
Yeah,
know.
that way there.
Yeah.
Bakersfield's just up the road, so.
Yeah, it's a very similar nature town.
Right.
Few blacktop roads and more dirt,
Right.
you know? No.
I mean, we're not, like, we're not aiming toward the main roads.
Right.
Would it include the main roads?
No,
You could restrict it to dirt
Cross.
roads, right?
you can cross.
Yeah, not the state, any of the
Right.
state
Yeah.
highways, so
Yeah.
the North
We don't wanna
Road.
go that far, that's pushing it a little bit. Like, we don't want it out of,
You have to go Montpelier.
I mean, nobody knows.
Route 36, for example,
Yeah.
would not be.
That's a state highway, so.
Yeah.
Because we don't necessarily, if it passes or whatever, we don't necessarily have to advertise it.
Right, you can just,
Like, we don't have to, out-of-staters don't
Right.
have to know that you can, because our locals don't know that we can't.
yeah.
When we've been here, what?
Or they
6, 7
assume they can until they're told they can't.
Like I say, they come by us constantly.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people we asked, because I told them about the meeting. I said, did you know that you're not supposed to be writing? No, we didn't know that, we didn't know that, we didn't know that.
Well, again,
We publicized it the last time it came up,
yeah,
but I haven't publicized it recently.
yeah.
Well, we'll hold off on that until we
Get-
get started.
Well, the more information, like I say, I'm probably gonna stay, I'm not opposed to it at all. You know, if we do it on dirt roads,
Hmm?
and those, because, hey, I go up to my sugar bush.
Right, yeah, I know, I see you up there all the time.
Yeah. Yeah.
You look very familiar though, I know you from somewhere.
Ron Bocash, I live over by the
Yeah,
pump.
yeah, of course I do.
Yeah.
Used to haul fuel?
No.
No?
Did
You
a-
probably saw his picture in the post office.
Yeah. I don't know, it seems like I know you from somewhere.
I don't know, softball, baseball.
We saw Damien and James on the news tonight
Did you?
for the Fairfield 911
Right.
fire department, and, yeah.
Yeah, we were in St. Albans today, they had both fire trucks out with a big flag cross.
Yeah. That's a good thing.
Yeah, it was nice.
We get a lot of four-wheelers, side by sides over by me.
Yeah,
Well, we were heading toward, we sometimes go across Stones and go up back Fletcher,
Yeah.
that pond,
Yeah.
that cat
That
pond.
cat pond.
yeah,
Dirt roads, then that's where the game warden was, instead of the left, we took the right, and he was, had somebody already stopped. And we go, okay, guess we're not going any further. And then they told us about it, like, so.
But like even they said, you know, we just poking, looking for deer,
yeah,
just riding around. He said, well, we're getting a lot of complaints for speed. He said, obviously you're not. Well, sometimes I get after it. I mean, you gotta clean it out. I mean, it is 1,000 cc, you gotta trump on it a little bit. We more or less just, nothing to do up here, we just ride around on the thing, that's all we do. That or plow the driveway with it.
All right, well, we'll,
use that skidder, plow your driveway, can you?
What's that?
Use that skidder, plow your driveway.
That thing's gonna rust sitting there. The winter's awful, weather's terrible.
Yeah, we're saying just let them
I
sit.
just had to rebuild the winch because it sat so long.
Is that right, froze up on you?
Rusted, yep.
Yeah, damn.
I had to yank it, it weren't fun coming apart
Yeah,
either.
I bet it wasn't.
No. I use it, I mean, I go out and run the cable by hand.
Yeah.
It needs to be worked,
Yeah,
so I'm trying to get out of the driveway, but not looking good.
well,
We'll see.
what you can do, right?
I
Yeah,
have a clarifying question. Are you requesting that I speak with them about putting something on the town meeting warrant? Or are you thinking that I just talk with them about having a straw poll or some type of discussion?
No, I'd say let's find out exactly how to get it put onto a ballot at that, but then the more information you get, we can have an informational meeting, then we can actually have a vote on it, town meeting. And if enough of people feel strongly about it, they can get their butt out and vote. You know, that's kind of how I look at it, and everybody's got a say in it, not just 15 people that show up at one meeting.
Like,
You know, then if the majority says that's how they'd like to see it, then you can vote it that way.
'cause it is hard to make meetings.
Mm-hmm.
you know, what I do and whatnot.
And if
I'm
it gets
never
on,
around.
if it gets on the, like, once we get it started, can we put posters up at the stores and stuff?
Yeah, I guess that'd be up to you. I mean,
To
it's,
inquire.
we probably won't do that,
Just,
but if
yeah,
you
just-
guys chose to.
Just to get the word out.
Right, that there's, the interest is there. Yeah. The more people become aware of it,
Right,
the more that probably will participate, because so many people have them
right,
and use them, you know?
exactly.
Yeah, you know,
Like I
just,
say, I'm not condemning anybody of any sort,
yeah.
but I wouldn't like to ride it. You know, so
We
like-
can always put stipulations too, no one under the age of 21.
Yeah, but that's not right.
Well, leave the kid, you know, the
I'm sure they must have some,
They have something.
there's something in that. I didn't read the whole thing, but there's something in there about age.
There's definitions of,
Yeah.
I think it's
Maybe
who
older than
owns the
12.
vehicle,
Yeah.
you know.
older than 12.
Hey, I was driving trucks and vans, so
We don't want to discriminate against anybody,
yeah.
They'll do it anyways,
right?
regardless of the rule or not.
That's after the fact. All
All right,
right, we thank you very much for your time.
Glad you came down.
so we'll get in contact.
We can have a conversation.
Okay.
Welcome to stay the rest of the meeting, become informed citizens.
That's my bedtime.
What's it about? What's it about? Depends on the topic. Yeah, he goes to bed at 8:30.
Well, thank you for coming down and talking to us about it.
Thank you, I know your name, I can't remember, Ryan, ain't it?
Yeah, Gavin, right.
That's what I thought.
Well, thank you for the time and good to see you. I'll contact you. Okay.
Thank you.
Excuse me. So, do you want, when we get left here, we'll keep after 1 minute to inform them now.
Thanks.
So, I guess Kathy, yes, I'm getting up. We're all set, we're set to go for your town administrator report.
So, the side-by-sides, this week, I wrote a support letter, and it was signed by Tom to support the regional economic development grant for the brick store across the street to improve her front steps and to secure some co-working space materials that she'd like for her business. I have an update from the Northwest CUD Communications Union District, and I was wondering if you wanted to discuss that in an open meeting or in an executive session.
What is it for?
The Communications Union District, they're talking about.
Oh, probably that
space.
should be, yeah, that's an executive session,
Okay.
Why? Curious.
because it's a rental business agreement that we're still in.
It's about property. Northwest, so the tax anticipation loan was secured, and we have Jeff Corey picking up the check tomorrow. Let's see, the East Fairfield property secured in 2020, you had requested some information on that. I brought that. I wasn't sure what you wanted to do with it, or if you had a specific question that you needed answered around it.
Want to know the value of it,
Okay.
because the assessors did the value. Like I said, there's people interested. We need to figure out what we want to do with it. I don't, you know, it's through what, 2.5 acres roughly?
It's 3.1 acres.
Okay,
It's on Sherman Street.
yep.
The land value, the whole homestead value is $63,400, according to the most recent appraisal. And I believe that that's probably because it's owned by the municipality. I don't know for sure.
I was gonna say, that seems low for 3-acre lot. There's power there. There was septic at one time and water.
It says that it was last updated, this property information was last updated on June 29th, 2023.
Yeah.
So it's possible that they haven't updated it on the database yet.
Well, I think, do you know where this is?
I don't.
I haven't been down in there, but I got,
Right, I'm trying to think the easiest way to describe it to you.
Sherman
You
Road.
start up the hill out of East Fairfield towards Bakersfield,
Mhm.
and you got where Zern used to live over here. There's these white buildings and some pines. Then you get a little further, it says Sherman Street. It's hard to make out. You go down there, it originally was the main road to get to Bakersfield before they decided to go up over the hill. You go over in there, and they built a camp. I'm making a guess here, late 70s. And Blue Ones, I think, from St. Albans, one of them owned that. And then, I don't know, got changed over, and then it's pretty much been abandoned. I'm making a wild guess here, but I'm thinking at least 10 years. So the camp, I would assume, is about ready to fall in. And then if somebody died, one inherited, and they just didn't want to pay taxes, so they deeded it back to the town of Fairfield. So it was roughly 3 acres over there. And I don't know if there was some in Bakersfield or not, if it was all in Fairfield. Because it's that funny jig of land where the boundary dispute was, where it goes like this and it shoots back.
It looks like it's all in Fairfield.
Yeah, so it could all be in Fairfield. Oh. One person was asking me about it, if we were gonna sell it, if we were gonna do anything with it. I said, I didn't, we're gonna bring it to the board, so that they're aware of it. They just wanna hang on to it. Again, it's 3 acres. I think you'd be better, in my estimation, if we were gonna do anything, better off putting it on the market and sell
I
it.
think we said we're gonna review all the property, and we're gonna, with anything that we didn't think had some public interest, we're gonna sell them.
I have a file on all of the properties that are owned by Fairfield at this time.
What are the, was it 2 others?
We have like 6 or so.
Oh, we got that, the biggest one is the town woods up like.
Grab the file if you'd like.
It's about 140 something acres up there.
Let's plan a
Just meeting on that.
session to review real estate and kind of.
Right, see if it's anything we want to maintain, keep, or just.
Yeah. I
Makes
agree.
sense, and
Yeah.
I think we should spend a few minutes going
Right,
through
not
it.
just making a
Right.
half-dash and go for it.
Make a list of what's questionable, and maybe that goes to town meeting, or we just decide to cut loose. But
Yeah, money might be better invested somewhere else, and especially if it starts bringing in some tax dollars,
yeah,
you know. And like that town forest right now, I bet we get 12, 15,000 a year. The record leases it.
Were you looking for action on that one property?
No, it
No,
was
it's
just
just
mentioned.
Okay,
and
so
I-
why don't we do that? Why don't we table that, put it in an executive session, do the whole review, and,
Yeah.
Okay.
you know, have enough time for us to study the property.
Okay. And then I wanted to just ask about also one other property question based on our most recent executive session, for some direction on there. So I guess this would all be an executive session, and that's the last of my updates at this point.
Okay. Is that all you've got?
That's what I have for our updates. So we have an executive session for
Yeah.
personnel.
What about, is it the audit RFP, is that done?
Oh, the RFP, I have that as a separate item, but yes, we have, I passed out the last audit RFP that we put out. The next one, if we decided to go for another 3 years, would be for 2023 through 25. I'd like to see if we can get that out as soon as possible. I did some revisions just of, you know, where we are in terms of population and how much is of what our budget is and how much is raised by taxes in our accounts. All of those details. But in terms of getting this out, I was just curious if the select board wants me to put out this RFP.
Have we got a final one yet from 20?
No, the last time I asked them to please give me something, they said they don't have to give anything to the state until the end of this month because that's the deadline for single audits. So a single audit must be done within a certain amount of time. So they said that they don't have to give it to us until the end of this month.
Okay, so do we typically do an RFP annually for auditing
Last
services?
time we had an RFP, it was in 2019 for 19, 20, and 21.
Right, they've been 3-year bids.
Okay.
And then we didn't have an RFP this year. There was a contract that our current auditors offered for us to sign, and the select board did. And then, so now the question is, can we move forward with a new 3-year contract? And what happens is, in this RFP, it talks about deadlines, expected dates, and outcomes. So having something like this in place would set the table for a more
Yeah.
a heavier conversation
Yeah,
if we
let's do it.
ended up going outside of the
Do you want a
parameters.
motion?
I'd love no, yeah.
Yeah, I make the motion that we we initiated a round of RFPs for accounting services for the town of Fairfield.
With bids due October 9th, if that's possible.
Is that realistic?
We would put the RFP out now, that would be our first meeting of next month.
Right,
So
is it realistic for them to have a bid
for a
back towards
month,
the
as
next?
long as I put it out in
But
the next
but
couple days.
do we have a date? I mean, like, could we have the second meeting as opposed to give you a little more give people that want to respond a little more time?
I would recommend that we go with October 9th
Okay.
purely because this is due by the end of the year and the auditors are gonna be booking their plans. I'd like to be able to get on their books if that's possible, but it is absolutely up to the select board.
It's
That's
less
just
than
my
a month.
opinion.
It'll be less than a month from the time this gets out, the time they gotta get it back to us. Is that sufficient to make sure again, I wanna be on before the end of the year, but I don't wanna miss out on 3 firms that say, oh, I don't have time to
Is
do it.
it time
It's
enough
2
for us to
weeks.
get this out? Because when doesn't a lot of their years end October 1st, financial ends?
Most of the private companies are all the end of the calendar year, so they're busy.
Yeah.
Do you have a list? How many are we looking at? 10?
The last time it looked like we had about 7 or 8 that replied.
And there's 3 or 4 of them that were goofballs. I mean, anytime you call them, we wouldn't hire them again in a heartbeat. You know, so that's what you gotta be careful that we're gonna get.
So we can,
Let's go-
we can absolutely do the second
Let's do the second meeting, and then
the second meeting of next
Yeah.
month. Okay. All right, so
Okay, so everybody's in favor of sending us out?
it's October
Yeah.
23rd. Thank you.
And I guess it's approved.
Okay, great.
Did someone second that?
I'll second.
That was the East Fairfield property, so that's, yep, that's everything on my list.
All right, so I have Linda. She sent you a tax update. Tax paid after the bills were mailed, $182,246.83. There was $34,000 prepaid. So as of today, 9/11, we have collected $219,295.20, which is pretty amazing, seeing as the bill has only been out for a very short while, and it's not due for another almost month and a half. We are at $7,916.68 in delinquent taxes.
How much?
$7,916.68. And that's over like a 3-year period
That's gotta be the lowest amount.
that I've heard in a very,
Yeah.
very long time.
Years ago, it used to run 150,000, talking 20 years ago, so that would've been closer to probably 300,000.
Pretty amazing. And then we've already collected almost 220,000, it's pretty amazing too.
Let's get Chuck paid his tax.
He probably prepaid for the next 5 years.
Yeah, this one has 3 pages.
Yeah.
Not very many, 15%.
Since you brought up Chuck's name, if Melissa's done for Linda's, Chuck has volunteered to step up for regional planning. I've asked Catherine Dimitrick if there's a possibility for a member at large, but if the board's comfortable, I'd like to I suggest we accept Chuck's kind offer to serve on regional planning with Doug Grant. And if Catherine says there's a member at large, I'm on the VEPSI committee, she just appointed me. That's why I was trying to make sure that there was a transition. Doug is the alternate on VEPSI for Regional Planning Vermont Economic Progress Council for Franklin County. So if the board's comfortable with that, I'm good.
So we'd have 2, you would be
He'd be replacing me, and I've asked Catherine if I could continue to serve for the since they just put me on VEPSI.
Okay,
I just want to make sure it's,
yeah,
I got an email into Catherine just to say,
Right.
they just appointed me to VEPSI. So I'm asking if I could continue to stay on that during a transition. Chuck and I talked about this, and
Whenever that's available, then I'll accept it, right? After that was, done. How much time do you have to do that for?
I don't know. I want to talk to Catherine,
Okay.
so, just so that
You wanna
everyone's.
make sure she's good with it and
Yeah,
kind of tag
yeah,
along
if she's
together?
good, yeah, if she's, I've asked her about the at-large, for the, VEPSI is kind of a Franklin County thing. It's a state committee for on economic, but Franklin County has a participation. So that was the only thing I wanted to make sure she was, but I think I could serve at large. That's the question I have into her that I haven't got back.
Okay.
But
So do you want to wait another meeting to, I mean, everyone seems to be in agreement, but do you want to wait till another meeting so you know exactly what's happening or not?
It's fine with me.
okay, we'll wait until the meeting. I'll give you a
Yeah,
report.
but I mean, general consensus seems
Yeah.
to be nobody's got a problem with it.
Yeah, no.
We just, but that's why here,
Yeah,
we know
good.
exactly what we were talking about doing.
Yeah.
That's good.
That's fine with me.
Yeah, okay. Thanks, Chuck.
No problem.
Well, we
Put it on
have
the
Chuck
next.
here. I would like Chuck to be an alternate on planning and zoning. He sat in with us on Monday night last week, and we had somebody missing, so it was perfect. We had extra input, and if we make him an alternate, then as soon as somebody goes,
You have someone.
we
in
have
place that
someone who knows
understands.
already what's going on, and Chuck's willing to do it that way, so I would like to ask your permission to do that.
Can we do that with state statute?
Yes,
Yeah,
you
yeah.
can have up to 9 people.
I
Want a
don't know.
motion?
Do we need a motion to do it, or can we just do it?
I would do
I
a,
make a motion, we appoint Chuck Paderber as an alternate on zoning and planning.
I'll second.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Not gonna be some off-the-wall character that wants to bring in Walmart and Dick's Sporting Goods, because if you are, you're out.
So I was thinking about converting the building over here.
Yeah. So,
No.
all in favor of Chuck being the alternate to the planning and zoning board?
All right.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, so what else you got?
I got nothing else.
Hey, I got one last thing. So we talked about this before, this is not new business, this is old business. But in my discussion on Old Town, as a general comment, the board, the grading around the Old Town Clerk building, that we did the
Right.
review,
Right.
and we talked to Mo about it. And the discussion 6, 7 months ago was, if possible, if Mo could have some of his guys, if they had a little time, to look at the grading, so that the water gets away
Talked
from.
about for years. It just needs, we gotta stop talking and just.
Yeah, well, that's right, I would just, irregardless of all this other stuff we're doing, I would, with the board's consensus, ask the town administrator to talk to Mo to say, if somebody could run a skid steer and get the water flowing away from the foundation, that would be a
You
good
need two
thing.
things up there. You need to grade it, but you also need to put French drains on both sides of that building. Dig down 3 feet, put tiling so it goes over the bank, so the stuff comes out the roof, and it reads rain gutters, but you're still gonna get a lot of rain that comes out of that building on those sides.
Well, I agree with all three, but I was just thinking doing one, but I would make a motion that we do all three. It's just irregardless, water in the foundation.
Right. No, it needs to
It's
be done.
getting, if our discussions get into fall and then we got frost.
Why don't we bring this up when we're discussing this lease deal?
Well, I was thinking, this is irregardless.
Yeah, I
This
think
is, this is,
irregardless.
But what we should do, I don't know if there's, that budget doesn't have its own budget like some places. But, I mean, that's something, I think you want somebody from an excavator,
You need a mini in there.
mini excavator, somebody like Eric
Just-
Sloan or someone, not just, but someone to do that drain business and maybe grade it off.
but Jeff Corey could do that, so maybe we could do a quote to do the drainage
Well,
around.
but get some quotes. If we're
Yeah.
gonna do it, we need a couple of quotes.
A quote to do drainage around, I make a motion, we get a quote to do drainage around the Old Town Clerk
Yeah.
building.
Oh, I agree
Drainage.
with you 100%, because it needs to be done.
French drainage, water grading, and then doing the gutters as well, or not?
Sure.
Well, we should get a quote on the gutters, because it
That's
needs
gonna be a different contract.
different person, but
Let's get
there's a
the
couple,
dirt work done.
but you can get 2 bids going here,
He
Dave.
could,
Get somebody, get some bids on somebody for the gutters,
Mhm.
because there's 2 or 3 guys around that do those. And it definitely needs to be done.
Okay.
thing is, you want to make sure you get the risers for the gutters when you do the drainage,
Yeah.
so.
Somebody want to second that?
Will someone second that proposal?
Yep.
Jake, second, all in favor of it?
Aye.
Aye. Get this moving along before it freezes up.
Did you want me to draft something, we could have something written so they all know, they all bid on the same
Right, so they
thing?
That
got,
would be very helpful.
that would be very helpful.
Put together a,
Make use of that engineering degree Mom and Dad
That
paid
would
for.
you saw.
You do good work.
Yeah.
You do good work. You know about training, time trial and everything.
I thought it was gonna be 18 inches deep, I was 3.5 feet deep. That was not fun.
Yeah, no, it's impressive, Dave. I make a executive session? Make a
Yeah.
motion?
Wait,
No?
before you do that, last meeting, when I wasn't here, I left you a message about the 837 LLC change, and I didn't hear anything. Do you not have an opinion, or you just want?
Whether
Where
doing,
they're asking us to,
they're cutting back 2 units.
cutting back 2 lots and asking to change it to a regular subdivision. It
How does
was,
that change things on your end?
well, what we decided was that it doesn't.
That it does not.
Yeah, unless they plan to substantially change the plan, then all the previous conditions will stand.
Okay.
If they plan to substantially change the subdivision, like no conserved lot, they want to change where houses are, they want, other than just removing 2 lots, then they have to start over on a regular subdivision. I don't know, Melanie hasn't gotten to me to say that she talked to them, so that's what we decided as a group. That the bylaws say that if it changes substantially,
They have to reapply.
yeah, it's
Yeah.
new. We think, we're surmising that they were hoping to avoid the hydrological study.
Oh,
We're surmising that they
Yeah.
wanted to avoid those things. I don't know that that's true, but if there is substantial change to their plan, they have to start over. And then we can look at what sorts of requirements we'll do on a regular subdivision.
is anything started there? Yeah, I haven't been by it.
No,
Nothing.
they have not done the hydro study.
Yeah,
It has not yet been commissioned because they haven't paid for it.
yeah.
And now they're saying that over the summer, they had discussions, and they want to make a change by reducing 2 lots and hoping that they didn't have to still do the hydro.
And what you're stating is that the zoning plan board wants a hydro done up there because of the number of houses. Yeah, I don't disagree with it.
I mean, it was pretty tough, it was a pretty close vote.
Yeah,
There's quite a bit of concern that we are setting a precedent that, okay, what's the number? How many houses does it need to be before we're gonna request?
yeah.
How close does it have to be to the town water? If you build a house next to me and my water gets screwed up, oh well, okay, so if you're gonna build 2 houses next to me, like there was a lot of back and forth discussion about proximity, because one of the engineers that we tried to get a proposal from told us we were ridiculous, that it was so far away that it would have 0 influence. I mean, does he know anything about Fairfield? I don't know. The other one kind of gave us the exact opposite response, which was, wow, this is a really big deal, and you're not asking us to go far enough. We need to go and talk to people, we need to check water flows, we need to, and we went with that guy, and he was obviously much more expensive. So the developer, understandably, preferred not to have to go through that hoop. And we're thinking, just based on the question that he asked, we're thinking that they were hoping that if they dropped 2 lots, that we would remove that requirement. And I was pretty adamant that it'd stay. We had a couple other people pretty adamant that it wouldn't. And,
You start fooling with people's water, boy. That's a,
well, I mean, if it did in fact
But it
affect
does
the
set a
town water
precedent.
supply.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the next big development that is a possibility in the village is obviously Dan Brandon's property. His intention there, stated to me, is a storage, like a storage rental thing. Some, he didn't define how many, some upscale houses and another Chester Arthur Apartments, like a senior living facility.
Yeah.
And when he told me, I said, well, you know that there's no town water for you. Like he won't have town water. Because John says they're at capacity. And he said he was fine with that. But he's not quite there yet, but that is what his intention is. And obviously, the way we handle this one is gonna affect how we
Of
handle
course.
that one, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, this is the one you gotta make sure your ducks are all in a row. It's a tough one.
Additionally, if it changes to a regular subdivision and then they start over, we'll need to rediscuss whether or not we want NRPC to review it. Because right now, as it stands, when the final project is presented, we're paying, I can't remember how much it was, $1,800, $1,500 to NRPC to review the PUD, it being our first one, remember that? You agree with that?
Yeah,
So we'll have to decide, they asked me this week, do you want us to still look at it? I said, I want as much help as I can get.
Yeah.
You got more brains than me. But we'll have to see how that changes, if it changes to a regular subdivision.
yeah, no, I wanna get it right, I mean, it's a modest investment in my mind, if you get the help to dealt with them and knows how the whole thing functions.
So the zoning board right now is saying nothing changes. If you drop two, nothing else, nothing changes. Okay. Yeah.
And that's based on an this gets kind of detailed, but that's based on an interpretation of our zoning regs.
The zoning regs say
It's a
that,
substantial change.
they
is that-
say, what the exact wording is, I didn't bring it with me, but what the exact wording is if there, I don't remember if the word is substantial, but if there's change on the plan that is not a result of directives given at the draft, like the sketch plan, and it doesn't come within 6 months, that they have to start over. And when we looked at it and said, well, if everything's exactly the same except 2 lots less, close enough. Like, who cares? We don't care. 2 lots less is better. People will be happier.
Especially on that side hill.
Yeah. So if it doesn't change more than that, but we didn't have at that moment, we didn't have answers to the questions. Are they planning to do something different with the conserved lot? Like, what is the plan beyond dropping the 2 hill lots? So until we have answers for that, we don't really know.
So by dropping the 2 hill lots, they go from a PUD.
That's what their request was.
Right, but what I'm just curious how it plays out. They go from a PUD to a subdivision, and next year they go for 2 lots on the hill. Is it, like an Act 250 thing where over the course of,
Interesting.
what's...
No, but I think they're still under, it's 8 lots, so it wouldn't.
No, I'm not saying that it would be Act 250, but if you build 10 houses in 3 years, all of a sudden you trigger Act 250. If we do a 4-lot subdivision instead of 6, but next year I say I want to do another 2 lots, how does that play into the...
Interesting question. Unanswered.
Just,
That's
it's
why
the same thing talking about precedents.
Yeah, what we said at the moment was, we don't have enough information to make this decision. We can't answer your question. We don't know, because you haven't told us enough.
Right, I'm just, as a future developer, I look at it and say, well, I'm gonna go in for 3 lots, and next year I'm gonna do the 3rd and 4th lot up here. So just how, and maybe it's something that the next revision in the zoning
Bylaws
laws.
addresses.
Yeah.
We've previously always asked people to give us their vision, like, what's your long-term plan? Like, maybe we're gonna do a single lot subdivision now, but what are you planning on doing with this parcel later? And I mean, they can lie, but,
Or things could change.
or things could change.
That's a good question though, to find out, or these 2 lots, like you say, 4 years from now, come back, we'll put 2 lots on the side hill.
Well, they sell it to Gavin, and next year Gavin subdivides it. I mean, what's...
Yeah,
I don't know to be sure, but I wouldn't be surprised if while they were, doing site looks, they found out that they couldn't park there or that they wouldn't have water there. Challenging spot up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was surprised that is a tough spot.
Well, I mean, they're used to developing places where water's more reliable, I think. So that's the update on that.
Well, thank you. Appreciate it.
You're welcome.
Is there anything else?
No, I'm done.
2 executive sessions, one to discuss real estate approved, passed, and then one to discuss personnel.
Okay.
Policy or handbook question.
Okay.
Road crew checks in, works for 8.5 hours, and we automatically take a half-hour lunch break.
It's not written in the policy that that's supposed to happen. I assume that would be a good question for Mo if it's actually happening.
But that's what I'm saying is that type of work, they don't typically take a half hour where they actually stop.
Okay.
So-
I don't see it on their timesheets. I don't see that they're taking.
Right, in discussion,
Yeah.
in looking at this and asking, talking around, just
They're
something.
entitled to a half an hour.
Right, but they're not generally taking it.
Right. I
Just
mean, I'm
due
sure
to the
there's
nature
times
of
they
it.
don't, times they do.
Right, but on a day when you're hauling gravel or,
Right.
sitting under the excavator, yeah, the idea is you're going, you don't actually stop, and shut down for half an hour.
Yeah.
Would you like me to get the wording? I can grab it from my.
You get the what?
I can get the exact wording. if you-
No, I think we need to take a look at it and I don't know if the guys clock out or no days they take lunch breaks.
Let's table it for when Mo's here.
Typically it's 20 minutes. You kind of get 20 minutes not clocking out.
Right, but that's what I'm saying, it's just all these guys are clocking in for 8.5 hours and
Yeah.
not necessarily, I just want to look at it. The other thing, insurance company, their insurance policies and whatnot, is there a way we could get them to come in and explain better the policies and what's, like you had talked about an HSA, I think, with one of the guys?
Oh, in terms of HSA, yes, absolutely.
HSAs and-
HSA is a separate thing from the health, Blue Cross Blue Shield insurance. And we just had a call and I emailed all of the full-time employees a call from Blue Cross Blue Shield if we needed any support or had any questions about policies. So I put a note out to full-time people, do you have any questions about policies? Because they're willing to come in and do some conversations. That's a separate thing from the HSA, which is, I think, $2,000 a year for single.
But we don't offer that currently.
We do offer that currently.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I guess that's,
It's through Health Equity, and I
I
can
think
find out.
it would be a good idea to try to get the carrier to come in and explain not only the HSA, what it is, how it works,
Sure.
but the different levels. I talked to one of the guys and he's like, this is, foreign to me. I picked the one that looks kind of in the middle and just, I think it'd be good to, when maybe we do it, a month before
Sure.
open enrollment comes up, but
Sure.
just
So
something.
the two things are totally separate. Health Equity manages the HSA based on what we want them to give to people, deposit into their account.
Yeah.
So that's, the select board decides what that benefit is, and then I process the HSAs every month into people's accounts, which they have to open on their own. And then the Blue Cross Blue Shield is different and separate. But I can get an individual to talk about what each of them means. I can have an individual from each of those areas come in.
Yeah, that's great, good
Just
idea.
Helping the employees clarify that would
Sure.
be good.
Okay.
I'd like to make a motion. We go to executive session to handle a real estate matter and a personnel matter.
Technically, you have to go in, out, in,
Yeah.
out.
Yeah.
Yeah. Somebody second that motion?
No second.
So we're going to the executive session.
And,
And Dave's gonna make a motion.
I'll make a motion that we raise the hourly rate for the shop foreman, $2.90 an hour, effective this pay period.
A second.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion passed.
I think we were-
I make a motion that we go into executive session for a real estate issue.
Now you have a personnel too.
Another personnel issue. We already done the real estate issue, or the real estate motion, so now you have to have another personnel motion. And that'll cover the next two items that we have.
Somebody second?
Yep.
Okay. Is this one that's gonna have a decision also?
No, it's discussion on the rental agreement.
No, the second personnel issue.
Just a straight eight.
No, I don't think so. Not today.
Can you just say there was a second
We're
personnel
gonna,
issue?
we're gonna do, but let's do the first issue. Maybe there's a misunderstanding on the second personnel issue. We're gonna talk about real estate.
So the question that you have is there gonna be any action?
Are you
taken
making action?
No.
No.
On
No.
either of the next?
Nope.
Okay.
Okay.
Come out of this, we're gonna adjourn.
I want to approve the minutes.
Yeah, we're done.
We're gonna-
Oh, we have to do that.
They
show up way
you
more
were
often.
moving on.
Okay, second,
I
for
already wrote it down, so
Yeah.
I can